that I'm no joke. No joke, baby, I'm no joke. Oh, no joke, baby, I'm
Hey, welcome to Talk That Talk. I am your host, King Rems, and to my left we have the wonderful Cherry Tarts, my girl Porsche, LV in the building, and G, Senorita herself. And what we're going to be talking about today is how do we discipline our children? An interesting topic considering the current climate of bad breed youths running around. So I'm going to ask you a question. Is smacking children acceptable today? I want to get your views on this. Because as a kid, I held licks. Like, I got syllable licks. Like, Matella for left, like, I got beat in a rhythm.
A, B, C, D,
you know what I'm saying? So what is your views on smacking children?
Okay, Remy, I don't think the question should be how should we discipline children or should we I think everyone, we can't tell someone how to discipline their own child. One thing I will say, though, however, is that parents need to be a bit more mindful when disciplining their kids. So, for instance, I feel like a lot of parents, from what I've seen, I can only talk from my experience, actually, it comes from a place of anger, opposed
or lack of communication. Beat as a form of just because.
Opposed to my mum trying to teach me a lesson, though she does mask it as her teaching me a lesson, but a lot of it is frustration at the moment. So that could borderline be classified as abuse.
Okay,
cool. So the communication definitely has to be a lot more better, but I'm not going to sit here, especially where I ain't got no kids, and tell someone else how to discipline their kids.
But funny you should say that, because English law states you do not have the legal right to smack your child unless it's reasonably punishable. In Scotland, smacking your child is banned completely, and in Wales from 2022 you cannot beat or smack your child. So the law is legally telling you how to discipline your child, unfortunately.
Tell a Jamaican woman that.
But I would say that law has been put in place is because some people don't know the thin line between discipline and taking out. The way that I see it, I haven't got any kids, so I can't say what I'm gonna do. I don't know. Everyone's different, and people parent different. But for me, I think, why do we hit children when they frustrate us and not an adult? Because with an adult, they're gonna clap you back or there's some sort of consequence. That child, and that's an adult that knows better. But you will hit a child who's still figuring life out and wrong and right, and there won't be no consequence. Is that why you would, like, some people feel so... But then again, I see some kids these days, and I'm like, when I'm at kids' parties, I love children, like, but you see them little kids, there's always that one little kid, I feel, I would... If you were mine,
Gigi,
do you know what I mean?
Say that, but the concept of... That should be the concept of smacking, is not to abuse your child, but to let a child know if you do something, there's repercussions for it. So I think that's where the initial idea of disciplining your children in that manner, it's like, put your finger in the plug hole, I'm going to slap your hand so you know not to do it. Or do you leave the child to put their finger in the plug hole and get electrocuted and say, well, there you go?
Okay, my dad didn't let me get electrocuted, but I kept going to the oven when I was younger. And I kept going to the oven and I didn't want to listen. So my dad said, you know what? Let her go to the oven. He stood near it enough to move my hand away if I burnt but I burnt myself. I burnt my hand. Glass. There was glass on the floor. I didn't want to listen. What happened? It went in my hand. You remember those things. I think for me, and what I also remember is you get to an age where beats don't matter. I will hold the beats and I will go and do what I want.
You obviously didn't get beat in my house.
I've been beat with a Hoover.
It was the whole... you don't cry. Oh, so you think you're big now? And then you cry. Let me give you something to cry for, and then you're crying. What are you crying for?
Okay, I'm totally against smacking, yeah? Because, listen, I got beat, yeah? But listen, I didn't
obviously didn't do nothing.
I got beat, yeah? But more than beats, I got, like, the punishments. Like, in the Nigerian household, they have the, like, kneel down and raise up your hands for hours. Yeah? And then I got upgraded.
But I got upgraded.
No, I did.
Like, it's a Virgin phone contract.
I got upgraded to the balance. One leg up, one index finger on the ground, and you had to balance. I only got beat if I moved or if I got off the balance or something.
Your core must have been strong, though, you know?
I preferred to have got beaten.
Yeah.
I would prefer to have got beaten. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason I'm against it, is because of, I feel like it derived, especially because it's quite big in...
it's dominant. It's a dominant
in the African, Caribbean
yeah.
household. I feel like it derived from slavery. Like, the masses used to beat us
to do stuff,
and then we started beating our kids, and then it becomes a toxic cycle.
Some white people beat their kids too. The mum was white and she didn't skip.
It's not as virulent in the white
in the
household.
African household, and I feel like there's a toxic cycle because me as well. Like if I don't have any children right now, but if a child does something like and I'm frustrated, my first thought would be, I need to beat him. If you see a child misbehaving, you're like, you need to get beat. You need to get beat. Do you know what I mean? It's a toxic cycle. And the thing that it does is it affects us. It definitely affects us. I think when I was younger, if I got beat or something, I think I'd take that anger. First of all, it would make me build hatred, first of all.
Yeah, resentment,
resentment towards my dad. Like, I used to hate him. I used to hate him so much, And obviously, as you got older, you realise why they did it and you understand stuff. But when you're young, you don't really think like that.
Do you feel it's a lack of communication? Because I feel like in the Caribbean household, there's a difference between disciplining your child and beating your child. I feel like a lot of us grew up with beatings with a lack of communication. Like, my dad very rarely told me, listen, don't do that. All I know is I'm getting my ass whooped for some shit that I didn't really know I shouldn't have done, but I'm finding out, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that now whilst I'm balling. So it's a bit peak, innit?
Because like, have you noticed, like, you know, okay, we get beats when we're younger, whatever, and like you said, they didn't tell you the whys. Certain thing was wrong. 100%. So when that person, we're gonna call them the perpetrator for now,
Oh, that's a bit steep still.
When the perpetrator ain't here no more, you're gonna be running riot. You don't know what you're doing. So have you gone to, like, okay, when you go to university, you see certain people, who are under their mum, their dad's thumb, just moving mad at university.
Them thoughts, innit?
Okay, it's not just that. You can have
the
guys
preacher's daughter.
No, but it's people that have been. I get what you're saying. Once they get let loose. It has the opposite effect of what their parents were trying to get.
No one is there. So once, like, when the cat's away, the mice is playing. So they don't have that person that's going to be enforcing those licks and stuff like that. Whereas for me personally, I think it's very important to tell a child why a certain thing is wrong. That way you can instill morals to that child, opposed to just saying, okay, I can't do that, it's bad, there's going to be consequences. Let them know why it's bad. Most of the time, it's there to protect them anyways.
The irony is, the Albert Einstein College in New York did a study on that, and it came back that children responded better to being smacked or disciplined if there was a communication as to why, and they were told, okay, this is the reason, but they were disciplined as a result. So it does come back.
I'm not gonna lie, don't speak to me after you hit me. Or
straight
do you know what?
You don't beat me.
I'm sorry. I hold grudges. Don't speak to me. Don't speak to me after you hit me. Me and you are not
I think there is a real emotional disconnect in Caribbean households, because you will get, African as well, you get a beating and then you have to go and sit down and eat dinner like nothing happened. And it's like, you don't even have the time.
You can't have attitude, nothing.
And then people carry that and they go act out.
You suppress it, exactly.
People
become bullies. Some people become bullies from it.
You know what else that is dangerous? I can't remember where I saw this or where I read this, but if, let's just say, for instance, you beat your child and you expect everything to be cool the next day, whatever, that can impact you in your adult relationships as well.
Absolutely,
whereby you get abused by a partner, hypothetically speaking.
And they make you a cup of tea afterwards.
And then you're expected to just forgive them straight away, even though they've just had you in a headlock.
Do you know the ones where your mum used to come ask you, are you hungry? After she beat
the age-old one, there's food in the fridge.
You will have, like, partners.
No sorries.
Partners who will beat their child, who will beat their partner and stuff like that. And then the next day they're like, okay, I bought you flowers. And you're expected to forgive them the same way you've done with your parents. So you have to be quite mindful.
Can I ask, what age do you feel like you stopped getting beats and why?
I had to leave home before I stopped getting beats. And that was 15.
I had to stick it on my dad to stop getting beats.
No, there was no sticking on anybody.
No, there was.
I done that too.
As I got older, I started getting this mindset that I told I didn't get beats, I had to do that punishment. But as I got older, I started to say to myself, I don't actually have to do this. I don't actually. Wait, hold on. Like, if you ask me to do a punishment, I don't actually have to do this. What the fuck? Because really and truly, what's gonna happen if I don't do it?
You're gonna beat it.
I'm gonna take the beat.
You know what?
I'd rather take the beat. Like, I don't have to do this. Like,
my brother taught me that. So, he said, you know what, sis? if there's anything you want to do and Mum's going to be upset, just do it, because the most she's going to do is beat you and you're going to get over the beating, but you would enjoy yourself.
Exactly.
So do it.
It's turned into a currency, isn't it?
Yeah.
normal.
So it's like, I'll take the beatings to do what I want to do.
People used to do stuff and they'll be like, I'm just gonna get beat anyway. So I feel like it also makes you more. I'm just gonna get beat anyway. Do you know what I mean?
So you're like, whatever.
And you brace yourself. Have fun. Then you brace yourself at home to go face that beating.
To a party,
Do you know what I'm saying?
and then we'll be looking at each other because we know the deadline's coming up. We've got to be at home. But then we'll watch the clock go by and we're like, do you know what? Fuck it, like it's currency at this point. So we'll have
I couldn't sneak out.
Go home and just.
I couldn't do that.
Okay, so my thing on smacking kids, I'm not up for anybody putting their hands on anybody.
So it's not acceptable in your book?
I don't think it's acceptable, and it depends on the character of the child or the person, because not everybody responds to beating. If you actually just take the time out to talk to the child, which is what I do a lot, kids seem to do anything that I tell them to do.
All right, let me ask you a question. What if you're communicating and the kid is still showing the same behaviours or the same traits?
No, I'm going to bust their ass.
Yes, I'm saying to you.
No, if I have to keep on telling you and you're not listening to me, I'm going to bust your ass.
Try different methods.
No. There's no trying different methods.
That child will become immune to those beats.
No, I'm done.
That child will become immune to those beats.
The beating they're going to get is going to make them know
that's
you
abuse.
ain't doing that again. Well, it's time
They're a child.
Hold on. You guys are talking over each other. Somebody's got to hold a beating right now because you're not listening, okay? So do you feel that a lack of physical discipline connotates with disobedience? Do you feel there's a direct connection between lack of physical discipline and disobedience?
Yeah, because you know what? Okay, these kids of this generation, it's because they ain't had enough beats while these hands up.
I don't believe so. I think some of them is because they've had too many beats.
Enough of them,
and they're looking for an outlet outside.
Let me finish. Listen, enough of them. All right, because the thing is, again, I'm not about beating. I'm so far from that.
But you beating a drum for beating right now. You better make up your mind.
Shut up. Listen, if you carry on, you're going to get a beating. That's how I
will like it.
I will like it.
We're talking about actual abuse.
Bring it back.
So I don't believe in abuse, but I do believe that there needs to be some repercussions for these kids, because it's like, why do you think so many kids are so fucking sensitive and such snowflakes? The slightest thing you say or do, it's like there's no toughness to them. And I'm not saying a beating your child is different to, like, behave yourself. A smack, a slap. But when you start beating up your child, there's a difference to a beating.
There's a difference between beating and discipline.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, I do believe that a lack of discipline and a lack of beats is what is causing disobedience in a lot of these kids, because they know that they can tell their mum to do whatever.
There's no repercussions.
I'm going by my ways. Where I know I could do stuff and still get my beating, I know there was still a repercussion, right? And I'd even think about what I'm going to do because of the repercussions that I'm going to face. But a lot of these kids, no, the government says you can't put your hand on me. I'm going to call social services on you. I said to my mum once, I'm going to call social services. Do you want me to call them for you? Straight up.
Listen,
all the time.
My sister said, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to tell the teacher that you hit me. He said, is it? And by the time they try and get social services and stuff involved and escalate it, you would have come home and I'll beat you again. And then you go home, you go tell her, and then you come home and I'm going to beat you again. When I tried to call them myself, my mum beat me with the phone.
Oh my God.
So do you get? And my mum they never hit me that bad for me to have to call anyone. Yeah. Now that I reflect on it,
it's
do you
just
know
the
what I
emotional
mean?
damage.
But I think for me, reflecting on my parents raised me how they knew, right?
Yeah,
now I'm very big on what didn't sit right with me as a child. I want to try and eliminate for my children.
You're not going to perpetuate as an adult.
I don't want to put my hands on my kids, but if nothing else works, I will. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. My niece and nephew, my niece is younger. My nephew, I think, hit her or something, but the scream that she gave out from the other room got me so panicky and angry at my nephew for hitting her. I don't think he even hit her. I think she just dropped or something. And straight away, my sister's reaction was to give him a smack. My sister doesn't hit her kids. But in that situation, you've hit your little sister, I'm going to hit you. Now you know why you don't like it, because someone bigger than you hitting you is not nice. Do you get what I'm saying?
What kind of narrative does that?
When you're not there.
What kind of narrative does that hit? Does that fit though? It's like, well, you hit, so I'm going to hit you. There's no.
I hear you, but what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, let me refit. My sister is not someone that hits her children, but in that moment, she didn't process this. It was just, it's because if we never got hit as children, that wouldn't even be in her mind to do really. But you do as you learn, and I feel like that's what it is. And for me, I don't want to have to hit my kids, because when I look back on certain things, like you said, I was never told the why.
Do you know what I think it is?
Why have you never,
I'll be honest, I think it's generational laziness. And you also must consider the environment our parents came from. They were the children of war babies. So they've had parents that may never return from war, or they come over in Windrush, or their parents have come back and their fathers have come back and they're very different. They're violent, they're aggressive, they're dealing with the issues of kind of being, you see what I'm saying to you? So we're the children of damaged children of damaged parents, you see what I'm saying to you? So generationally, people have never sought to break the cycle and understand what communication is. And like, for example, for when my mum was younger, mental health was not a thing. You couldn't communicate and say you were sad or you were unhappy. Depression didn't exist, you see what I'm saying to you? So the processing and communication of emotions of why things are wrong, historically, they weren't taught. So it's lazy parenting at best.
Remy, can I interject in that?
Of course, do your thing.
I think you may have to talk for yourself, because I know, like, okay, my mum will beat the hell out of me and my sister. My dad, I fed my dad more and he never once raised a hand to me. I don't know if it's because he's a male and he holds more authority.
Same with my house.
Or I don't know what it was, but I just felt like he could just say one thing, and I just knowing that he's disappointed in me will be enough to just put me back.
But would you say it's because you had a good relationship and that communication with your dad?
With my dad and my mum.
Yeah.
So did one communicate more than the other? Because neither of my parents particularly communicative.
My dad, my mum, majority of the time she shouted.
Yeah, that's my mum.
You can't process that, innit?
Etc., etc. My dad, where he was more of the fun one, if he was upset, I knew something. I knew, like, we've done something to, like, that's, you know what I mean? My mum now, she's changed. Like, we've got a brother. I don't know if it's because of his size, because that guy is huge. He's really, really tall and whatever. But she's never once lifted a finger to him.
Because if I jump up and lick him, that's
but
why.
Me and my sister, I mean, his dad disciplined him differently, but me and my sister, we got it. Like, we literally, social services were involved at one point. You know what I mean? Like, the neighbours got worried, whatever, etc., of the way we were getting beaten and stuff like that. I think once my mum realised, okay, cool, this doesn't work, she stopped handing out licks and stuff. My brother, the only thing she'll say to him, okay, do you know what? Cool. Do what you're doing. I'm going to dip you back to Africa. Straight to Sierra Leone. Do you know what I mean? I think that's enough to obviously strike fear in him, but she will never lift a finger on him. So I don't think everyone's parents is, I mean...
But it was lazy to begin with, because as you said, she beat...
But my dad didn't do it.
I think maybe because it was you were a girl, because as you said, he disciplined your brother.
I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of my family, but yeah.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? But the boy was disciplined.
I feel like it makes us, like, emotionally, like, closed.
Yeah, it mutes you, innit?
Yeah, you start to close up more and more, and it's like you know how some people have that close relationship, like, with their parents. I feel like when a parent puts his hand, her or his hand on you, I feel like you become detached more and more and more. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, because I personally feel like that's where me and my dad's, obviously I'm older, I'm a bit understand, but I'll still never be like close. I feel like that's where our relationship like deteriorated, because I just felt like, it just built up, but malice towards, and resentment, like, and all these years, you know what I'm saying?
He's the first male in your life.
And I couldn't talk to him. Like, if there's something going on, I wouldn't come and speak to you, because I have all that built up resentment. And my mum, she never really, like, put hands on us, but listen, like, let's say my mum will take us to McDonald's, and she'll get, like, she'll ask for balloons, because you know that
straw.
Get liquid that. The thing that holds the balloon, she will whip. You know,
Jesus.
She'll be like, oh, can we get balloons, please? Just for that stick. And people will be like, yeah, sure. Not knowing that this one wants to use it. But she never really, like, beat us like that. She wouldn't beat us. And I told my daddy didn't either, but that punishment enough, I told you I'd rather get beat.
So can I ask you guys a question then?
Do you know what I'm saying?
Because that kind of leads on beautifully. Do you think there are long-term consequences to beating your children?
Yes. I think, like I said before, like, it does have an impact in abusive, like, relationships. Let's just say, for instance, you're unlucky to find a guy who's whatever, you're more likely to forgive him if he's upside your head. Do you know what I mean? Like, the same way you will forgive your mum after she's beaten you and you go downstairs to go eat her food, it's the same way you accept the flowers after your boyfriend's beating you up. So I do believe parents do need to be very, very mindful. And if they are going to smack their kids, don't do that whole, okay, I've beaten you, but I still love you. Here's some food.
It hurts me more than it hurts you.
your man could say the exact same thing, and you've learned to assimilate that into your whole life.
So you're kind of giving them the opportunity to frame that kind of violence as a way of exerting love, and the opportunity to say, I want you to grow and be better.
My thing is, right, sometimes when I look back on it, I think, you wasn't even angry at me. It's all the build-up in the household and stuff. Like, you need to have real knowledge of self when you're dealing with your child. And I know it's easier said than done. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to be like. So I don't know. But for me, it's like, if I want to be able to, and
that's your first reaction will just be
exactly laziness. That's what I said. It's generational laziness. They never really thought to do.
I just want my reaction to be more reasonable, like I would with an adult. I wouldn't just punch an adult in the face because they're getting on my nerves. Or if you annoyed me, I'm not going to go, Remy. Do you know what I mean?
The same way I used to get fucked up, I would fuck up my brother as well. You're getting fucked up too. If you piss me off,
I'm a hold a bang. You go hold a bang. Everybody holds a bang.
Everybody holds bangs. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
no, it does create an unhealthy environment.
It's huge.
And also, I think the flip side of that is it can make. Speaking from experience, it made me really timid. Like, in my house, I really felt like I was, like, I couldn't really do much. But then in school, wickedest gang man in school.
And then you get in trouble, they call your mum and you get beat.
They never did cycle.
Exactly.
And listen, mum, I rate you, because the amount of things you kept from my dad, because I could have died and I wouldn't have been here now. Trust me.
But it's like you get beat at home, then you go act out in school, then they're like, I'm going to call your parents.
And then you
call your parents and then you go back and get beat, and it's a continuous cycle.
It's a terrible cycle.
Some children get beat and end up trying to be the bullies in school because they can't take out their anger on their parents, or they just end up being what?
I don't want to hear that story. Every time someone gets bullied,
people on road.
The academics, the DJ academics of the world.
Bullying people in their hood because they got beat.
No, but there are some people who go into the shelters.
What she's saying, she doesn't want to hear that because, you know, a lot of people's frustration and anger, even in relationships and stuff, when you're angry with someone, it's normally because somebody else has done something to you.
Hurt people.
Yeah, so
but that's not a justification. If my child gets punched in the face and you tell me that they come from a household that's like this, I don't give a shit. They've punched my child in the face. Yeah. Someone's mum's getting hit.
That's all right, but
you're perpetuating the cycle, Gigi.
Yeah. In that way, like balance. It's all about balance, because at the end of the day, I think I needed to be hit at certain points, but then there was a point where I started fighting back because I was like, hold on, I'm not a grown man. I'm old enough to know what different beatings look like, and you're not giving me the beating of a 14-year-old, you're giving me the beating of a big man. So here what? Okay.
I don't think any of us really needed beating. I don't think any people... There are some kids, let's not get twisted, but I think it's about communication. It's about having consistency in children's lives. Like, it's going to sound mad here, and I'm sorry, but kids are like pets, innit? Like, they need that routine, because I've noticed, like, me and my cat moved house, innit? And she was acting out.
Remy, don't compare your cat to people's kids. Don't compare your animal. Don't compare your animal to children.
But no, like, in a general sense, because my vet who has children and pets, she said a similar thing. It's like, you need to get children into a routine. They need to understand the what, the when, the wheres, and the whys. And when things are inconsistent from the parent, that's when the kid acts out, because they never know what's what and when's when. If they're having dinner at different times and going to bed at different times, you wonder why. You tell your kid to go sleep at 7:30, but they've been up 9:30 for the rest of the week. You have to go in and beat them because they ain't sleeping, because you haven't instilled that routine and that moral compass of the who, what, when, and why.
They depend on you as a parent for
all that bullshit. Like, if I tell you to go to bed at 7:30, it doesn't matter.
But what if the child's not tired?
No, I don't care. I'm telling you, as your parent, go bed at 7:30. Don't fucking question me.
But what I'm saying to you is,
don't question me. One, let me just explain myself.
She's gonna beat you if you don't listen.
I'm gonna beat you if you don't listen to me, straight up, right? And two, well, I am old enough to be a mum. Anyway, and two, I just see it as kids. I'm so against beatings and abuse, but kids do need smacking as a form of discipline. I think in some circumstances, not everybody's responsive to it, because you get serial killers, it's because they were beaten their whole life and they come out and they're just angry with the world.
And kill up everybody.
Yeah, again, you get women that are susceptible to domestic violence. But at the same time, there's so much pitney out here that's so bad that, you know what, you have to think about it. Is it because we stopped doing the beating so much? Why they're so bad, Brock?
Do you know what?
But why can't we take a second and think, what's this child? Why is this child like? Why can't we take a second and think, why is this child like this? And figure out some solutions.
What is lacking?
Why is the first thing
to beat them?
You know, you see a child in the shop. You see a child in the shop, getting rude to his mum. And my first thing is,
he needs a beat.
To get beat.
No, it's true. That's the first thing that comes to your mind.
You need some beats, but what is really
what we actually need is,
what does this child need to help the child stop acting this way? Why is it
What's the prevention and not the... Because we think the cure is hitting them. But what's the prevention?
It doesn't.
Kids act out as a form.
I'm just saying we've got a lot of snowflakes in this generation.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Hold on.
Elizabeth, I hear what you're saying completely. But if I look at, like, some of the young kids around my area, and I know, obviously, because they're from the area, I'm part of my community, I know what their home life is like. I know they're getting beats, but I also know they're not getting love. They're not getting attention. They're not getting... So you think those beats are a replacement? It's lazy. You think that it's the cure for you to not do all of the other stuff.
But that's what I'm saying to you. A lot of it is lazy parenting. They forego all of the elements that a child, emotional nourishment, care, the I'm proud of you today. And as soon as they act out, they're beaten, which is the problem because kids act out when there is a lack of. It's not when there's a surplus of. If you're loving kids in the right way, if you're making them feel safe and cuddled, they're not going to start putting their fucking hands in the oven or slapping up their kid's sister or something. Unless there's a
and then that should be
a reason.
They should find that out.
Exactly.
Because a lot of kids with ADHD are getting smacked up.
Beatings,
without the right diagnosis.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's lazy parenting. But
what does that child need?
do you guys feel like there is cultural differences to discipline?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a lot of my white friends don't even know what a beating is. They're like, whoa.
They also don't know what seasoning is, but that's the life we live.
But again, but then a lot of those white friends are serious drug users. They've got serious, I'm just saying, they have, so from the lack of beating that they got causes other issues in their community.
So you're saying they're drug addicts because they didn't get beats?
Okay, take it from the white girl.
Yeah, but you ain't salt and pepper white. You got a bit of paprika in you, though, innit?
All right, take it from the Spanish girl, if you want me to put it like that. But it's a difference of culture. La chancla.
La chancla
is the flip-flop.
Oh.
That gets thrown at you, you get whipped with that, everything. I mean, if they can use the little toe bit to shove it up your nose and hurt you, they will. So... the broom, I've been beat with a hoover. My dad used to sit next to me. You know when you're acting up before you go out to a family function?
Yeah.
If I was being a bit cheeky, whatever, my dad would be like, when we go out, you're sitting next to me. You know why? Every time I'd open my mouth and say something I didn't like, my dad would be next to me pinching me.
Oh my God.
And
twisting it.
You know what? I hate that. I prefer people to beat their children and pinch. I think pinching is really spiteful and disgusting to do.
It was his way of disciplining me without embarrassing the family and having to shout at me.
Yeah, but that's the manipulation. That's damaging you.
Yeah, it is. But my dad didn't. But my dad didn't know no better. Yeah. So that's why when I sit here and I talk about how I want to raise my kids, I know better because I know how that made me feel.
You can't excuse that anymore. We can't use, as a society, from every
that's what I'm saying. Now
everything that we talk about as a show, we can't give the excuse of they didn't know any better. Because at the end of the day, my dad got beat. He knew how that made him feel. He still did it.
If we don't...
But it's not that easy because it's a trauma. If it was that easy, that made me feel... It's not as simple as that.
If we don't accept that they didn't know better...
Listen, at the end of the day, how I've encapsulated it is...
Do you know what I mean? Every time you see your dad,
he experienced what he experienced. He chose not to do better, but we are where we are now.
So can someone just correct me wrong? Is it in the Bible something about spare the rod or...
Spoil the child.
Yeah, actually.
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
What does that mean?
So that means if you don't beat your child, they're going to get unruly.
I'm destined for hell, clearly, because I'm a lesbian. So I'm not in the Bible, so can somebody...
I don't believe in the Bible.
If you don't beat your kids, they're going to become bad brak.
Okay,
yeah, but the Bible also says
then.
slaves obey your masters.
So we're setting them up to fail, basically.
And we would throw Remy off a mountain, apparently.
I would win because I'm fly.
Religion, I want to quickly enter it doesn't mean beat your kid, literally. What it means is discipline them when needed be. That's what it means. It doesn't literally...
Okay, cool. So
beat your child.
So to be clear, it doesn't mean beat your child.
No, but a lot of people use that same Bible passage. They use it as an excuse.
Yeah.
It doesn't literally spit boom.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it's a form of discipline.
Spare the rod.
Yeah.
Just discipline a child when need be.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Okay, cool. So there's been an interpretation of certain Bible verses that you should or shouldn't do something. So maybe I'm not going to hell. It might be misinterpretation. Who knows, right? But in the terms of things, do you feel that we are setting kids up to fail by the fact there are laws in place now that mean children can't be physically disciplined? Do you feel that we are setting them up to fail?
They use it as a defense for them. So I've seen kids like, well, you can't do anything. You put your hand on me, I'm going to call social services. Even though I did say that to my mum and she's like, she don't business, call them anyway. But the younger generation know that this is actually a fact. Now, if you put your hands on me, I'm going to get you into trouble. It's as simple as that.
But you get into trouble if you put your hand on an adult?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is from back in the days, it wasn't... we knew deep down inside social service ain't going to give a shit. They're going to let us leave us with our parents.
That's such a Caribbean mentality. From time me up Barney, I got beat, you know.
Yeah, it's true. But then, you know, this younger generation, they know they've got a lot more rights and a lot more protection.
They got a lot more rights and lefts, apparently.
And they're a lot more vocal as well.
Can I just add on to that? I mean, rightfully so. Like, okay, I'm all here for like beating your child as of when need. You know what I mean?
I even hate hearing it.
We've had some high-profile cases, such as Victoria
Climbié and Baby P.
She got beat, Baby P. So that was when they actually
took it too far.
They went over the threshold, and that was literally abuse. So those laws have been put in place to protect kids.
The extreme cases.
We could say extreme cases, but I genuinely believe that some parents don't know when to stop.
Draw the line,
where to draw the line. But for instance, pinching, not saying anything about your dad or anything like that.
Speak freely.
That is a form of abuse.
Yeah.
You're not telling that child.
And the thing is, it's not a box, so that's what I was just going to say on your point.
You're not telling the child what they've done wrong. At this point, you're annoyed at the behaviour of the child, and you just... That's an outlet.
Yeah, it may not be wrong behaviour, it's just you personally have decided you don't like what your kid has done. It may not necessarily be expressive.
And a lot of people,
wrong.
why are you beating a child? Because what they're doing is wrong and is a danger to them, or it doesn't fit the idea in your mind that you feel your child should be like.
Touche.
That's what gets on my nerves as well. So what I would find is sometimes when I was younger and I'm like, da-da-da-da-da, just in my little corner, da-da-da. Like, I'm not bothering no one, but you didn't like that there's, you know, that I'm singing and there's just little things. I'll tell you something. We was on a big dinner table. I made a joke. I laugh really loud. I still do. I still did when I was younger. And, oh God, I feel so bad like I'm snitching on them. But my mum made me stand up and explain why I was laughing so loud.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
Because my aunts and uncles were kind of like, you know, children should be seen, not heard kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I had to stand up and just explain that I was laughing at the name of a kitten. I remember that from when I was a child. So you can't sit here and say that's just I didn't even have hands put on me. So imagine all the other little things. So that's why I say there are some kids that need a good beating, but for me personally, I don't want to, because I know the effects that it's had on me. I don't want to have to do it to my children.
That's beautiful. So to wrap up, because we've got to wrap up, let me get your views on, do we discipline children?
I think it depends on the character of the child.
Yeah.
For one, my dad never ever disciplined me. My mother was disciplinarian. I love my mum much more than my dad, like tenfold. You know, and you would think it would be the other way around, considering she busts my ass a lot. And my dad is very communicative, and he's more nurturing, and he'll talk to you about things, but that doesn't work for me.
Okay.
I'm completely against beating your child. Smack for discipline, for them to understand, yes. There was this situation, well, one of my punishments when I was naughty as a kid was to read the dictionary.
Love it.
That was fucking torture to me. But the only time, and it helped me in life, because if I didn't read the dictionary, I would have got my ass bust. So I needed to know what it was.
Got you.
You see?
To encapsulate?
Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell anyone how to discipline their child, but the whole beating stuff, no, intentions have to be made clear. You have to communicate with them why their behaviour was wrong and the implications of their behaviour. If all else fails, then maybe you can explore smacking, but the whole abuse out of frustration, etc., etc., it will have a negative impact moving forward on that person's life.
Thank you, PLV.
I definitely do not condone beating. Like, a slap, cool, maybe. I don't condone beating because I know the effects it had on me growing up. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but I do feel like you need to learn your child, learn what they need, because there might be reasons why they act in certain ways, but your mindset is just to beat. So you'll never learn. And you'll never really get to know your child, because your child will start to hide themselves from you.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I definitely feel like you need to learn who your child is. And when you beat your child, it just becomes a toxic cycle.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Gigi?
I kind of gave mine, based like what Lara said. I know what it can do to you. Just even little things have stuck with me in adulthood. And I don't want to make my children feel like that. And I don't like the idea of a child is a being that barely knows anything, but one of the first feelings they feel is fear.
Or pain.
Yeah. Or you know, I don't like that idea. They're just trying to figure it out. We're meant to be guiding them, not, you know. But that saying, I don't know how I'm going to raise my kids when I have them. And I do believe some kids do need a little discipline once in a while.
Touche.
And one thing as well,
Go ahead.
it also makes children just learn more sneakier ways to do things so they don't get beat.
That is true.
And it creates masterminds in sneakiness. Okay.
My baby sister is a mastermind at that.
There we go.
But you know what? That's encapsulated beautifully. Thank you so much, ladies. My views are very, very similar, so I'm not going to regurgitate. It'd be good to get parents' views in the comments and whatnot, so make sure you guys like, comment, share and subscribe. We have been Talk That Talk. Thank you for watching.
Baby, I know you're gonna